Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining. This is our Zoom recording now. So we tried to do a Facebook Live and that's not an option anymore. So here we are.
Here we are.
Hi. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So I wanted to interview today because you are a very successful stay-at-home entrepreneur, or work-from-home entrepreneur, I should say. And you haven't always been from home. So maybe you could share with us kind of where you started and kind of how you are where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love, first of all, I have to say, I love that you are interviewing me on this because I look at you and I'm always inspired by you being home with 5 kids and still being able to do all that you do and create the impact. And you're always so happy and joyful, and you inspire me more than you know. So I had to like chuckle when you asked me. I was like, I gladly will, but I feel like I could be interviewing you. So yeah, so I was not always able to do everything I did from home. I owned a couple different brick and mortar businesses, and therefore that required me obviously to be at those locations. So I had a gym and then also a cleaning business. So I was very busy with that. And then I had a lot of extra side jobs that I was doing in addition to that. And I honestly, I look back now and I think, how did I keep up with everything that I was doing? But it was pre-kids and it was just a different time in my life. But I slowly started to transition to being able to do more from home, which I love. I love the flexibility of being able to do it from home, but I also love the flexibility of if I'm traveling to still be able to do work. If I'm at a coffee shop, if I'm just somewhere other than home, because it's nice to get that change of environment for sure, but just to more so have that flexibility and time freedom, because with brick and mortar, I did not have that. So I slowly started transitioning after I was introduced to a network marketing company, that then I was able to start kind of filling the gaps of my day with that, and financially was able to slowly start eliminating some of those other things, which I loved. All of the things I had that I was doing, they were very fulfilling. But again, it was just that time freedom. And then after having Griffin, who's now 2.5, your world flips upside down. Everybody tells you that, but you just want to be able to spend more time with them and just be more present. So it's allowed a lot more of that.
That's awesome. So awesome. And I'm so glad to be able to work from home now too, with 5 of the kiddos. So definitely a blessing. And especially now there's so much uncertainty out there that I never just thought I would be so grateful for this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, it was a very abrupt, all of a sudden you're working from home. So I'm sure there's a lot of people that, it's a big transition to try to adjust to that, for sure. I mean, it took me a long time and I still feel like I don't have it perfected. I'm, some days are better than others. It's not glamorous, it's a lot of messiness in between, but you make it work and it's so worth it.
Yes, for sure. So do you have any tips? Like, I want to add value to people listening to this too. So for people that are first timers working from home, do you have any like tips or suggestions on like how you found it successful? Like maybe how you do your day? Like, are you waking up earlier? Are you taking breaks or time blocking, or what do you find helps you?
Yeah, absolutely. All of the above. So I'm a very early riser naturally. So I've continued that. And I think just being in the fitness industry and a health professional for so long, that has been the biggest thing to make sure I maintain that, because if I miss that morning routine, it really throws off a lot of my day. Because it's like once kids are up and the world is up and everybody's functioning, we get pulled in so many different directions. So I really solidify that is my time. So that's where I'll do my workout. I'll take some time to read. I'll set my intention for the day. I always start with, a glass of water, then of course my coffee. And I just really utilize that time to prep and like I said, have that intention for the day. So that's been a really key thing. Another thing that's really helpful is food prep. And I think this is something that can be misconstrued or misunderstood a little bit. I think sometimes food prep seems like it's this big overwhelming project, but for me, food prep is making sure that I have my veggies cut up, washed, my fruit. I'll do little things like I love to make protein balls. I'll do some overnight oats, maybe like mini egg muffins, just little things that I know if something gets thrown off, that I can grab something for myself, but then also for Griffin throughout the day, that's going to be a good, healthy option. So that really has eliminated a lot of stress. I think that that can cause for a lot of people being at home now. And then the time blocking. That was something for me that has been an evolution for sure. I don't have my passion planner it's upstairs in my office right now, but I love and live by my passion planner because it really allows you to block out what your time is. And, I try to make sure I have activities that Griffin can work on when I'm doing calls or doing work, but then I also really want to make sure that I have present time with him, because if we don't have all of those things, and it can be hard to fit them all in, if we don't have those in, it can really, again, just throw off our energy. And of course, like, even though I'm working from home, I still want to be a mom and be present with him and not just sit him in front of a screen. So I make sure I have just some different activities that he can do, and then really present time where my phone, my computer are off to the side and I can focus on him. And then lately, of course, with the world changing and us not really being able to like go out and do things, typically we'd have like a story time or a play date or something like that would be scheduled. Now I've just been focusing on that. We have outdoor play time. So we have a black lab. He's over here sleeping, but we like to go out and take him for walks and play outside. So I feel like time blocking that in is so essential. And with that, it's amazing what we can get done when we do time block and we're efficient. Because if we're like working all day, plus trying to make lunch, plus trying to be a mom, plus keep the activities, you feel like you're bouncing from like A to Z all the time. And there definitely is still some of that. Like I said, I don't feel like I have this perfected at all. But when we have more focused time of like, okay, you're going to play with this while mommy does some work for 45 minutes. What we can get done when we know we have 45 minutes and we know exactly what we're doing during that time, we can just be so much more productive. So I think that would be a really helpful thing to be able to share with people or provide value, to make sure that you're time blocking that out and structuring your day that way.
Yes. And I'd even written some of that down. I was going to ask you next, like what your tips are for people that, who have worked from home, but like now have the added part of their kids being there. So, and that was one of the things I wrote down too, is like a quiet hour. So maybe kids are reading a book, or maybe they're earning minutes, on the iPad, or their screen time, or like if they have a quiet project, then, you can take that little chunk of time and then get your work done in there.
Absolutely. And like you, for example, and probably a lot of people that'll watch this have school age children, which that's perfect, have quiet time or reading time or coloring time or something that they're going to be focused on that. Like for myself, Griffin has his nap time. So I really utilize that time. It's typically about an hour and a half. And again, I know I can get a ton of stuff done. I typically will try to schedule a little bit of like pickup time, just to make sure like, the house isn't too chaotic, because if it builds on top of builds on top of builds, that overwhelms me a ton. So I try to make sure nap time is used for a little bit of that, switch the laundry, wipe the counters, do the dishes, spend that time, and then I'll go in my office and then I'll really have that focused work time. So yeah, that's a really good point.
Yes, I like that too. Nap time is always a critical time at our house too. It's like, do as much as you can, but it's like that time block chunk, like work out, do your work, clean.
Yes,
So,
totally. But that's what I think
that
too, like you made up or brought up a good point of waking up early, before the kids, like that can be scheduled, like that time. Maybe it's like power 30 minutes and I'm going to do a quick workout and then take a little bit of time to set my intention, have that. Then during nap time or quiet time, have that a good structured work time. And then of course, after they go to bed, there's typically a little more quiet and focused time to get some of that other stuff done as well.
Yes. And I feel like that's super important too, because nowadays I feel like we are tugged, like you said, in so many directions. And then just not wanting our kids to see us like on our computer nonstop or on phones. So I'm definitely not a morning person typically, but I've now, since they've been home more, try to get an extra hour and a half where I can just be doing some of that stuff where I am on my phone or computer. And then I feel like when they wake up, then, it's not,
Totally. I love that. And I think it's good too. I mean, I always think of, like you said, you don't want them to like always see when your phone are working. And then you think of like what we want to role model for them and show them, like, we have focus, we have disciplined work time to do that. Then we have our play time. So they know that that structure is really important, and that discipline time as well, I think is so powerful for them to see.
Yeah. Yep. And I think, like you said too, just a good balance of the both is really nice. So do you have any advice for people who may be considering a work from home career? So someone who, has not in the past, but now that maybe they're not going back to their job. I know I've spoke with quite a few people who are just unsure, like they have to
Mhm.
reapply or they're not sure if their position will be open again.
Mhm.
Any help for them or maybe ideas on how they can decide what would be good for them?
I think, when you're used to having a structured, 8 to 5 job, for example, you're going in and you have your work hours. So still establishing, like kind of back to that time blocking thing, still establishing that work time, because I think it's really easy for everybody. I mean, I've been so guilty of this many times where all of a sudden you're doing dishes and you're cleaning your closet and you're not getting a lot of that work time done. So making sure that you're planning out your day in advance and really committing, like if you were at your 8 to 5 and meeting with a client, like you have that block scheduled out and that's your commitment. So really trying to discipline that and just knowing it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be pretty. But it's so worth it if that's something that you desire. And again, it's not that you have to be home all the time, because I really need people. So I always try to make sure that I have stuff scheduled outside, some meetings that are outside of my home, so I can still feel like I have that human connection. Because even though virtually with technology we can do so much of that, it's not the same as that human connection. And I think now more than ever, the transition from people, with so much unknown ahead of us on going back to work, will people have jobs? I think, a lot of people, this can be like, there's so much positive attached to this, and it can be a really scary time, like financially, and again, unknown territory ahead. But I think this could be a time that maybe a lot of people realize, I've had this dream to do this, or maybe they're open to the network marketing idea of that business model, and that can free up some financial breathing room and ability for them to be able to, stay and do some work from home. So I think that's a really important thing as well.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Yes, so I think you said it good too. And like giving yourself grace when it doesn't work out perfectly. Like, I don't know if you can hear my little one in the background, but she is, she was supposed to be napping, but that's just not happening now. So,
Totally.
yeah. So just kind of going with the flow a little bit too, and being flexible. So,
well, and I think most people understand that as well. I'll share with people like, hey, I have my little guy with me, so he's going to join us for the call. Excuse me if I have to sneak off for a little bit. But I used to, when I first started working from home, and like if he was fussy, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But now, I mean, people understand that. And I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to showcase, that you still can be a working woman, a working man, and also be a parent, and still do all of those things, so people see that that's excuse me, that's real life.
Yes, I totally agree. And you kind of said it too. It was funny this morning. I was thinking, like missing the human to human interaction. I know you are such like a people person, and I was just thinking, like, I could really go for a good Heather Godfrey hug, but I'm like,
yes, I agree.
So,
it's gonna be like the biggest one next time we see each other.
It's going to be amazing. So maybe you could just touch on like as a little bonus for people, if if they are considering, maybe like even if they do some at-home work now and do go back to their 8 to 5, like what is the little benefit of having a little bit of residual income in the background? Like
Yeah, so network marketing, business model or compensation plan is set up for residual income, where if you are not working, what that is, versus like linear income, you're working, trading time for money, which is what I've been used to my entire life. I cleaned houses, I trained clients, I taught classes. So I would go to work, perform my service, and then I would be compensated. Did hair, I would color somebody's hair, I would then be compensated. So the residual income business model or compensation plan, you do a lot of the front end work. You're always continuing to work and build a business, such like a brick and mortar. But with that, you're able to then create that residual income that you're getting paid on your work prior, and you're getting that consistent income coming in. And I mean, I honestly feel like everybody should have a residual income. And I think it's such an eye-opening experience that we're living through a time with COVID-19, because none of us ever saw this coming. So I am more thankful and grateful than ever to have this, because any of my previous jobs or what I was doing, I would be absolutely without an income right now. And I know that's where a lot of people are. And that is like pulls on my heartstrings. So I think anybody that is open to that idea, I mean, it's something that even if they did it on the side, I mean, we have a lot of people that are within our organization that work an hour a day, 2 hours a day, kind of fill the pockets of their day, are still parents, have other jobs, other, you know, priorities that they give their time to, but it's so worth it to be able to invest some of that time and be able to recoup the benefit of that residual income, because having many streams of income, obviously we know is an important thing. And, you know, having just a little bit more freedom and choice with our life, you know, our lives were not meant to work it away. So if people can create some more of that breathing room, just to be able to experience more, give back more, have less stress, like financial stress is, I think, one of the worst stresses that any of us can experience. And I know moving forward, there's going to be a fair amount of that. So something we can do to just bridge that gap between our incomes.
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone listening feels like that is an option for you, like definitely reach out and we can help you. It is an incredible blessing. Like like I said before, so grateful for that now at this time especially. And, you know, like I said too, if it's something people pick up now and maybe you just carry that on and you do go back to your full-time job, but then you still have pockets of your day, like you said, that's perfect.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So maybe one last thing, I don't want to take all your time, but how about, you are always so full of energy. Like, and I've told people too that meet you, like, you'll never forget Heather because she always just has this energy about her. I mean that seriously. You are the sweetest. So maybe you can, and I'm sure this is maybe, like I said, a learning time for people too that are working from home. So how can they keep their energy up? Like, what are a couple things they could do throughout the day, or just like, you know, water, diet, moving?
Yes. All of the above. Water, huge. I mean, I always make sure, I think this is an easy thing to skimp on, especially if you're used to like being at work, or, you know, your schedule is different, like diet, water, movement. Those are all such important things to make sure, especially at a time like this, to be incorporating in. So water, huge. Movement. Like I said, I rise early in the morning and I do my workout right away. Just for me, that's how I get my energy and I feel good. But like, I'm in a group thread with some friends right now and we're randomly videoing us doing 10 burpees to each other and then calling each other out. You know, just fun little things. So even to get your kids involved, or, you know, just moving our body generates so much energy. I also love having music. If I have music going, it's upbeat, I'll move my body and it just energizes me. So if you've been sitting for a long time, like we know the computer or cell phone posture, all of a sudden we're like leaning in like this. Well, yeah, that brings no energy to our body. So just standing up and moving, you know, every 30, 45 minutes is super beneficial. So I think that's good. And then rest, of course, is an important thing. Like, yes, we know when kids are napping or having quiet time and at bed, that gives us a little time to get stuff done, but not getting to a point, because I've been here, so I'm speaking from experience, where then you're sacrificing your sleep, because self-care, all the things we've talked about, are going to be the things that really help energize your body and, you know, elevate your state. So those are all important.
So true. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I hope this is valuable for everybody watching. And just like you had mentioned the tips there too, like just taking care of yourself during this time, and especially mentally too, like it's such an unknown for everyone. And even though I'm used to being at home, like it's definitely a different circumstance now, like adding the kids in all day, you know, there's stuff that break in the day. So we're all doing it together. So yeah, definitely.
And doing the best we can. But I think, you know, another thing for like energy, I just want to touch on quick too, is having positive people in your life, like a community. I look at like the community we have, that really uplifts me, and just like a quick phone call to somebody who's going to uplift you and give you that positive energy, because we know there's so much negativity going on right now and so much fear, but if we focus on that, that's going to be what we feel. So if we can surround ourselves with positive people and focus on the positive things and the opportunity and the beautifulness of this, even though there is some of that, you know, sadness and scarcity and all of that attached to it, focusing on what we focus on is what we feel. So
yes, like the morning calls we do in the morning, I look forward to those so much right now. Just being able to see everyone's face on Zoom, like even though it's not in person, it's definitely just so good to stay in touch with people too. So
agree.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And like I said, I learned so much from you. So it's like ironic that you had me on this, because I think you have so much value that you always share and inspire me with. So thank you.
Sweet. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye. You too.
Bye-bye.